If you're just now joining us, make sure to check out all the WoW action that you may have missed over the weekend from gotfrag.com, MLGpro.com, and MMO-champion.com. Also, we do have that Ask the Cast thread running on gotfrag.com under the WoW General Discussion forums. Make sure you go post on that, and we'll try to get your questions answered throughout the weekend.
Yeah, you guys have been doing a great job in that thread. There's a ton of very important questions that we've been reading off and going through it. So, not much spam in it. It's awesome, guys.
Improvement? I don't think so. You're awful. See what I have to deal with?
So we're waiting for these teams to get ready to go back in, and this is a big match. I mean, I know our friend Yiska has been writing, and his predictions have been, SKEU 5-0ing everyone. And it hasn't exactly been going that way for them. But if they can come back and prove Yiska right, this would be the place to do it. Although 5-0ing Czech 6 would be a huge feat.
I'm just wondering how much he's going to jog to punish himself after those terrible predictions. But let's go ahead and get things started. We're going to head into Blades Edge Arena. It looks like the dice roll going pretty good so far, and we'll get into this matchup. We did see BHMS playing this map first against Czech 6 earlier, able to take out that first win, but afterwards, 4 maps not being Blades Edge, it was pretty quick and easy in the favor of Czech 6.
All right, they are zoning in, and look at that.
It's starting out nice and early for SKEU. They really have to come out with this first win, especially whenever they get to use Blades Edge. Of course, Inflame's going to have to use that 2-tiered arena, jump off whenever those pets do catch up with him, and mitigate a lot of damage during those cooldowns being used by the team of Czech 6.
I mean, Inflames is going to be the target, beginning to end. We don't see a Igof being swapped in, that Worm Hunter pet, for the armor pen. But it's going to be a standard destroy the Warlock.
I'm wondering if Czech 6 might try something different, though. They saw against BHMS, they really never got momentum going. And against SKEU, it's going to be pretty much the same thing. So will we see something different out of Czech 6, or do you think they'll just go for the straight Zerg and Flame?
Well, we saw Flex sitting at a couple of the vendors for a while, casting spells to check a bunch of things, so maybe he does have something planned.
Well, here we go, game 1 between SKEU and Czech 6. Now Flex going to go ahead and charge SKEU's side of things, trying to get over right onto Inflame. It looks like they're going to go for it. There's Wolves out, and Bloodlust already used Bestial Wrath very early on, and now Inflame's going to try to kite down to that bottom area. 6,000 HP. He will portal back up, but still in a lot of trouble at this point. And right after he gets over, and now you see it, Flex is back on him already, still hovering around 20,000 HP, but look at Twix, who just gets owned in the duration of it, and it looks like SKEU going to turn it around and say, we can do this too.
It's amazing the cheering section to our left of us actually cheered when an American team died.
They're waving a different flag. Now, it's just up to SKEU to kind of clean this up, but really nothing Toes and Flex can do in this situation when all 3 members of SKEU are up and they don't have any form of MS with Twix going on.
Yeah, Toes definitely didn't expect that amount of burst damage rate. Then they flipped it right back on them.
So great job by SKEU on Blades Edge, and it really comes down to it that very start where Inflame's got that little break of damage.
Didn't even bubble until now. He wasn't expecting that at all. He had Aura Mastery up when Twix died, which actually has happened twice now.
And now we see it. They're going to play it out to the end, though. Props to Flex and Toes. You always want to see maybe you can make something happen, but look over to the side of SKEU.
He's going to be Enigmas is going to be able to run and drink, non-stop. There's no way they're going to stop this. He has an entirely full bar of mana right now, and Toes is going to take a ton of damage now. It doesn't have a bubble up anyway to save himself, so probably going to be it.
And Toes still fighting it to the very end, though. 4,000 HP, picking himself up, just kiting around the pillar. Still making standing alive in this situation. So I would expect something very different in the next game. Going to freedom and just get out of there. Tries to get flashlight followed by a holy shock, picking himself up, but he's about tapped at this point. So it's going to come down to that. There we go with that spell lock. Toes drops, sealing the deal. SKEU taking the first round against Czech 6.
Flex playing all the way to the end. He's on the Warlock bet right now. Oh, look at that. 2v1.
Yeah, it looks like that, and now they just went ahead and left, but there we go. And that's going to be the first game going towards SKEU. Now Blades Edge Arena being a big factor in this matchup. and it's really going to be interesting to see what map comes up next. Now remember, in these series, you cannot play a map more than twice, so if SKEU wants to take this series, they're going to have to take a win on another map, which is something BHMS could not do.
Now, one of the big things to note is Twix only took 25,000 damage. That is not much at all.
Basically, no help from Toes at all in that situation.
All right, so we'll see if they're going to be ready to get back in. These teams don't have any time. Maybe a couple seconds to talk about the last match, but here we go, right into Nagrand Arena.
So Nagrand Arena, and earlier whenever BHMS got onto anything but Blade's Edge, they lost every series. If SKEU wants to prove their dominance here at this tournament, this is where they need to start.
They do. This would be a big team to topple right now. Czech 6 looking to be probably the first place team going into Sunday as it stands with how well they've been doing in each round.
And no change-ups for either team. And now, really looking at Twix, you know, honestly, on both ends of things, Deterrent's not really doing much for him. It's not going to stop those dots from ticking. Maybe if he uses it right before a UA or a Haunt goes off, he can mitigate a little bit of damage and cancel Aura and get back into the fight. But honestly, that's really on the shoulders of Toes. He just did not see that coming. And Toes just went from full to dead very quickly. And honestly, great match by SKEU, but you saw that damage onto In Flames in those few seconds right before he TP'd, and it's
right at the beginning when Flex connected onto In Flames. I mean, he dropped a half almost instantly, but you know, Enigma's doing a great job of keeping him alive.
So we will follow Twix out of the gate as Game 2 between SKEU and Czech 6 is about to begin any moment now, and we see Toast waiting to the last second. He is going to get up that beacon before he mounts up and comes out of the arena.
We'll have to see if Twix plays this a little bit differently. Hopefully he doesn't get timid at all. Yep, there they go. They're going to run right in, try to find their target, which is going to be In Flames, who's now in the center.
And there we go. Flex sticking to his target as well. He drops below 10,000 HP very, very quickly. There's a Bestial Wrath already. Now Twix coming around, In Flames already portaled down to 6,000 HP like it's nothing. Flex needing to get back over to his target though. 4,000 HP. In Flames HP is just bouncing up and down so quickly, but still, now we see Flex finally connecting on his target, but In Flames already been picked back up. 12,000 HP dipping very quickly. 6,000. There's that HOJ on Enigma. He's immediately drinking it. In Flames down to 1,200 HP, and down goes In Flames. And just as we saw before, once Flex and Twix connect onto a target, it is too much damage. But great job at the start, able to keep Flex out of it for a little bit, but not long enough.
No, and if you look at the dots, right as In Flame died, they started to turn it around a bit. They did have their gargoyle out. They started to roll those dots on him, but, I mean, that was so much damage.
So after 2 rounds tied up 1-1, and really SKEU looking to get that Blade's Edge Arena again and try to pick it up, and really it's going to come down to, can they grab a win on a different map?
It's, you know, I hope they can. It's if they have something to prove, like we said, it is this match, and if they can pull off a win on not a Blade's Edge, they have a chance at it. Now, one of the things to note, that Blade's Edge map, it went basically perfect for SKEU. At the beginning, In Flames was down at the bottom. He was focused down at the bottom of the ramp. He portaled up to the top of ramp, and Flex was already snared, so he had to run all the way back up. And at that point, you know, they were ready to kill Twix.
I don't see either of these teams really switching anything up, but SKEU might look at it now. They already know the fact of it's going to be a very difficult game on any map but Blade's Edge. Do you think that they might try to bring something different out? We have seen that Mage Warlock Druid setup come out, but I honestly don't think that'll do any better.
That would be probably much worse. If I'd say it's, you know, if they were going for that big kill like right away, but that's what Czech 6 is doing to them, so...
All right, we'll be getting into that game in just a minute, but of course the players do have a couple minutes to talk things over and maybe change some strats up. So we'll go back to the Ask the Cast thread on gotfrag.com under the WoW General Discussion. And again, thank you to everyone who's been participating in that all throughout the weekend. Now, going down to question 1277, BeefCon asks, will Destro be dead for Warlocks when 3.3 hits servers? You always see that certain classes will have, you know, 2 specs that'll be viable, or 3, you know, like we were saying earlier, and, you know, Destro's just not going to be there anymore. They've seen what people are doing with it right now, and
got to be the way that they're balanced. That's how they do it. So Destro has been tons of people complain about it right now with the amount of gear that you can get. So normally when that happens, changes start to happen.
And until you see it go live, you can't really make an assessment. You know, everything can change up to the very last minute. But let's go ahead and do this. Game 3 going to be played on Dalaran Arena, so no Blade's Edge here, and really looking to SKEU make something happen on any map that is not Blade's Edge.
Yeah, one win on a non-Blade's Edge map right now, I mean, it could secure him the victory.
Gate's going to be opening momentarily. Really, it's all on to Flex. You just watch him. He's controlled for a second, gets to his target, and all of a sudden HP just begins to spike ridiculously fast. And now looking over to Enigmas, I wonder if he's actually, trying to change up gear a little bit for maybe a little bit more spell power. But let's go ahead and do this. As you see, the team of Check 6 going to start it early, and you see that Frost Shock right away onto another, trying to keep him in place, and they are going to make it over to In Flames, dropping it down to below 10,000 like it's nothing. And now you see those cooldowns being used, and a little bit of damage going on to Toes at this point, but nothing serious. Intimidation onto In Flames, dropping very low. Flex still just sitting on him at this point, not really being controlled. Finally, we see that Howlett Terror, and he's going to get back across onto him, dropping him down to around 16,000. But actually, Enigma's doing a great job keeping up. Now look at Twix actually getting down to 7,000 HP, but a big heal comes in from Toast, who's going to bubble right away as he remembers what happens in that last game. Still In Flames, not going down as fast as we saw in the past, and now a big fear onto Flex that will be cleansed, and tries to get back over to In Flames. A little bit of damage going out, but In Flames is going to sit behind that box and not allow Twix and Flex to connect at the same time. And actually, Twix's pet did die, but he does have that time to allow him instantly reset. The turn's being used by Twix as he sees that damage flowing through, so actually SKEU turning this around.
Dots are all over the place on this Check 6 team. We have aim shot back up on In Flame finally, who's getting targeted. We actually had a snake targeted there for a second, but Flex, big fear right there.
And now we see Toes actually under a little bit of pressure as his bubble has been used. But we'll look out, and Flame dips pretty quickly there. And now you see Twix going to disengage after that grip and try to get back over to Inflame, who's sitting at below 5,000. And now they're trying to get, and both of them are trying to connect at the same time. 2,000 HP. Wow, heals are coming in. It's so close. And down goes Inflame at the very last second. Now take a look at Twix's mana having to switch over to Aspect of the Viper. I mean, if Inflames could have stayed up for that little bit longer, the damage would have been reduced greatly from Twix and maybe turned it around once again. But SKEU getting so close to turning these games around.
Yeah, and he used a full innervate, making sure his mana was full the entire time. Twix, there was a couple times where I thought he was going to go down, but Toes blew his bubble early to keep him up, and doing a great job.
Now they are going to play this out, because if you look, Toes, no mana at this point, so expect Enigmas and another to play it out to the very end. Now Twix going to be the one under pressure, dropping to 10,000. This may not be over just yet. Toes has no way to get mana back just yet. There's a freedom on the Twix, but that's not going to help him out as far as HP goes. But here we go, cooldowns being used, Beasto Wrath, and he's going to let his pet do the work. But in comes that grip. But still, Twix under a lot of pressure now. Cyclone on the Toes, as he does have Divine Plea up. So great job by Enigmas. And he's going to have a little bit of mana to pick Twix back up. So there's an HOJ on Enigmas. He will trinket it, followed by an Arcane Turret. Another dropping down below 10,000. But some heals coming in from Enigmas, who's down to the last bit of his mana as well.
Enigmas is just shadow melded right there and is now casting onto another. But it's going to be hard to keep him up through this double DPS.
Now Enigmas is completely tapped, 600 mana, another down below 5,000 HP, and down goes another, but still got to give them props for carrying it out till the very end, and Enigmas soon to follow. So we do have the score at 2 Check 6 over SKEU 1.
And we've seen it in the past that, when you should never leave a game early until you're absolutely sure that you're going to win. We've seen it in the past that teams will come back from that 2-3, and that's why they try all the way to the end.
All right, so we're going to be going almost immediately into Game 4, and SKEU right now is going, please be Blade's Edge, please be Blade's Edge, so they'll have that opportunity in that 5th round to just try to find a different arena to make a win, and it doesn't look like it's going to be their luck. Game 4 going to be played on the Grand Arena.
At least it was an ROV.
You can't always say that.
But this is another big match. They managed to drag the last game out very long. which is what they needed to do. Inflames was taking a ton of damage beginning to end, but when we had that momentum shift with a couple big fears, and there were just dots everywhere on check 6.
And honestly, not a good map still. With that level playing field, one advantage even on Dalaran is working with that second tier level. If he does jump off, those pets do have to run around and go down the ramp, so that is a little bit of damage mitigation, which is not going to be an option. Even if he portals on this map, it's only going to take a few seconds for those pets to get back around and onto him, and that's where a lot of this damage does come from on this check 6 lineup.
It's the other 3 members of the team.
Yes. 6v3 is not very fair. And now we see it, Toes standing back. He does look to have on a decent amount of PvE gear because, of course, most of the time he's not going to be focused. And really, his job here is to slowly rotate through his cooldowns, keeping his teammates up. And we saw a very early bubble, a little afraid as to what happened to Twix earlier, dropping very quickly with almost no heals from Toes. But game 4 between SKEU and Check 6 about to begin, and we see it once again. Check 6 going to rush out. There's the Bloodlust. Out come the Wolves after the Bloodlust. Not really sure about that one. That might actually influence this game. And Flames dropping down very quickly once these 2 members of Check 6 do get over and establish onto him. But still, he's trying to kite around and mitigate some damage, but below 10,000 like it's nothing. Hex onto Inflame, and he's still dropping very, very low, 3,000 HP, a little bit of control onto Flex, and he's trying to get back over, and you hear the infamous kill him from Twix, but not just yet. Flex will connect, and it's still not enough, and Flame's going to be picked back up, 15,000 HP, trying to get a haunt off, switching over to Searing Pain as he was interrupted.
He needs his pet, Inflame needs to get his pet picked up right now, 20% hit points. He's going to take a massive amount of damage until he can bring it back up.
And now Inflame picked up back to full, something we're not used to seeing. His pet did go down, but he immediately fell down that. But still, Toes not having to bubble yet, but Flex taking a lot of damage, but a 12,000 heal will come through from Toes. Great job there seeing the damage, and just now it once again, actually Inflame taking a good amount of damage out towards the middle of the arena, and he's going to kite back around. And now we see a Hex onto Inflames, just trying to, it looks like they're going to go for that second Bestial Wrath and Hex. Now, Twix actually already swapping over to Viper. They're going to try to wait this out and make it to the second Bestial Wrath, but Toes taking a lot of damage. Twix is going to Bestial Wrath. Now Toes is going to bubble, sitting at 6,000 HP. Now look for Inflames to be taking a good amount of damage, but still, they're not able to establish onto a target. Things not looking good for Check 6 at this moment.
No, I mean, from the start, this hasn't been the round for them, and look at the amount of damage on Flex right now. Getting really low. Toes has to pick him up right now.
And now he's picked up to 11,000. Shamanistic Rage is used, but already that second Bestial Wrath is down. And Flames does dip below 10,000 HP, but being picked up, and he will portal back behind the pillar. And now you see Flex is going to go ahead and chasing behind and try to drop him himself. But Flex actually getting low and needing to be picked up. And Toe's going to be unable to heal him back there. We do see a freedom onto Twix. Finally get back around, and Flames does dip below 10,000 for just that little bit, but Enigma's doing a great job of keeping him up.
There we go. Now Flex is starting to purge off all the buffs off of Enigma, or trying to, and might be a switch onto him. Barkskin does come up, but Inflames does have the aim shot. They might be splitting.
But Toes is completely tapped. It is not looking good for Check 6, and I'm going to go ahead and say I do believe that SKEU is going to pull out a win on another map. All they have to do is finish off a member of Check 6. And you see it, Toes and Flex both very low at this point, and Inflame sitting pretty safe. And there goes Flex, and that's exactly what SKEU needed to do, was take a win on a map that isn't Blade's Edge. So now it has to be going through the mind of Check 6. What happens if Game 5 comes down to Blade's Edge Arena?
It could be a very, very intense game. They forced Enigma completely out of mana that fight. Had that fight gone on any longer with Toes having mana, it could have gone either way.
And a pretty big mistake by Flex at the beginning of that match, actually bloodlusting first, then using his wolves, meaning they didn't get the bloodlust, and that little bit of extra damage could have been the deciding factor in this game.
And I think Toes dropped an early HOJ, that first burst onto Inflames. The reason why he got so low without any heals is Enigma was HOJ'd, and it could have been something where they would have scored a kill had there been, a later HOJ, lusted wolves, all those small factors.
All right, Game 5 already queued up. It is not Blade's Edge. We're going to be doing the deciding game on Dalaran Arena.
They've already faced each other on this one. This is a map that we've said Pets have a lot of problems with. And, you know, if SKEU wants to pull out a win, this is another map that they can try.
Two great teams going back and forth, tied up 2-2 after 4 games, and this may be a series you may see in the finals as well. So this could be a huge deciding factor in this tournament overall, as people are going to try to approach those top 3 positions, which of course will be the money here in Anaheim.
All right, so the gates are going to about to open. We're going to follow Enigma. He should have a pretty good view of the battlefield, sitting pretty far back every single time, so he has no possibility of being swapped on. However, I don't see them swapping off of Inflame beginning to end at all.
It comes down to the wire between two amazing teams. SKEU representing all of Europe in this tournament, as they are the only European team. The pressure is on, and they did not get Blade's Edge, unfortunately, but it's going to have to be won on Dalaran, and here we go. Both Flex and Twix coming out into the middle. Immediately out comes those Wolves, and let's see if he's going to go ahead and Bloodlust sometime soon, but Bestial Wrath already used. Still, there we go. There's the Bloodlust. And now we see that HOJ on Enigmas, and the Flames dropping very low, and wow, he's going to get Portal away. 20,000 HP, and Flex just needs to get over back onto Flames, and that's when things are going to get dangerous, and he does. 10,000, 8,000 HP, strangulate on the toes. Flex will trinket and immediately death coil. Great job by Flames trying to mitigate some of that damage, but look at what Twix is doing to him by himself. 6,000 HP, Flex still not over there. Flex connects down to 5,000, 2,000 HP, and down goes Flames, and that looks like that may do it, but of course, don't give it up just yet. Oh, another will just leave. Check 6 will topple SKEU 3-2.
And that was had a little USA chant going on in the cheering section. But I mean, look at the damage on that. They stayed on the target as much as they could. Inflames, however, playing a great job. You saw that Portal onto the stairs, immediately dodging out of line of sight and waiting as long as he could until Twix closed the gap, and then he jumped back up top.
And even take a note of the highest damage done by both Flex and Twix. There were no big crits throughout any of that from the players themselves.
Yeah, not at all. We did see a big crit heal from Enigma, but it didn't matter. And again, we talked about that early HOJ, and that was a great job. It put the pace of the game right where Check 6 wanted.
All right, that's going to conclude this series, but don't you worry. We have 7 more series to play before tonight is over. Coming up next, we do have Fnatic versus Complexity, but we are going to take a quick commercial break and come back right here with you live in Anaheim for the Major League Gaming 2009 PC Circuit played on HP.